Just floating around in space right now, floating around in space right now. Got my big marshmallow suit, I'm a marshmallow. Marshmallow, oh marshmallow, marshmallow, I'm a marshmallow. Marshmallow, shoot. Guys, hey, Houston, we got a Jason. We got a Houston, we got a Jason. We got a shoot, go away, no. Houston, can we do something about this Jason? God damn it, no.
Why won't you die?
Did you know that a young boy drowned the year before those two others were killed? The counselors weren't paying any attention. They were making love while that young boy drowned. His name was Jason.
Yo, Jason Voorhees just impaled David Cronenberg. Fuck yeah! Jason X, the one in space. It's Jason in space. That's the thing. It's Jason in space. I'm just gonna start this off. I love Jason X. Jason X is one of the best Friday the 13th movies. I wouldn't put it in the top 5. I don't think. Let me look at my list. No, it is technically not in the top 5, so it is not in my top 5, but it is one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies and one of my favorite movies from the franchise to revisit. It is so entertaining. Basically, it's just, hey, the government captured Jason Voorhees, and they have him in a secret facility, and then this corporate douchebag in Canada is all like, hey, we're going to take him out for a spin. We're going to keep him alive and not cryogenically freeze him or kill him like we should.
And you're willing to risk the deaths of innocent civilians if he escapes.
Yes.
And then Jason Voorhees, that rascal, that rapscallion, he escapes.
What the hell?
Well, it's up to our heroine Rowan to stop him, and oh gosh darn, she succeeds in cryogenically freezing him, but she stands in the wrong spot, and whoop-a-doo! Suddenly she's cryogenically frozen too. Fast forward to hundreds of years later, 2455, is that the right? Doesn't matter. And bada bing bada boom, it's the future, and then she's taken to space by a bunch of fucking future kids on a field trip. And she's unfrozen, and they're all like, yeah, we got that big motherfucker in the hockey mask back there. He's fine. He's docile. And she's like, no. And bada bing, he's back with it, and he's like, hey girl, whoop-a-cha! And Jason's in space, and then they gotta stop him. And there's an android, and she gets to be a super android. With awkward nipple placement, I guess, and she blows him up, and then he gets back up, and he's like, nah, bitch, I think I'm gonna beat Uber Jason, and he's all like, waka chaka cha, thanks to nanobots, and, fuck yeah. So today's video is gonna be a little short, because I feel like death. I have some blood sugar issues, and they are just killing me today. And I do not have any nanobots at my immediate disposal, so I cannot be brought back into Uber Michael. So let's just dig through this real fast. This is a pretty simple movie. It calls for a pretty simple review. So Cronenberg effects guy and sometimes director James Isaac, rest in peace to the king, took reins for this installment, written with Todd Farmer, who would go on to direct the frankly pretty fucking awesome My Bloody Valentine 3D and Drive Angry. Oh, and he's this dude, Dallas, who has the pleasure of getting his head smashed by Jason. Just living the dream, that Todd Farmer, living the dream. With Jason X, the filmmakers were in development on a Freddy vs. Jason film and decided that they needed to do a new Friday the 13th. But they couldn't exactly bring him back from hell without knowing the plot of Freddy vs. Jason. It was all kind of a confusing mess, so they took the only logical step and they sent him to space. God, it's just such a great idea. Of course, Jason was not the first of the major horror icons to take a trip to space. Pinhead did so in the Worth a Revisit Hellraiser Bloodlines in 1996, the same year that Warwick Davis made the same journey with Leprechaun 4 in space. However, I would argue that Jason has the best trip to space out of the bunch, thanks in part to a bigger budget, lots of creative production decisions, and a script that really nails the necessary humor, and a plot structure that keeps the action going from beginning to end. Now, Jason X wisely takes the audacious approach of putting, well, Jason in space with a very familiar plot structure. Two plot structures. Basically, it's Alien and more so Aliens. And that works great. You get, basically instead of space truckers, you get a bunch of space teens on the field trip, and you get a bunch of space marines kind of helping them out and creating sort of a nice series of murders for Jason in the middle of the film there. And then, of course, you got the woman waking up from a cryo-freeze many, many years in the future. It's very, very clearly ripping off Alien and Aliens, and man, that's A-okay. That's fine. There's actually a previous version of this was a ripoff of Blade Runner, but this was obviously the cheaper option. Now look, this is not a scary movie. It's dumb, it's silly, and there's no real horror on display here, outside of some really great kills. As such, it's very much a your mileage may vary kind of flick. If you like silly, then that's great. But if you're more of the serious horror guy and you don't like your horror movies to be just overtly silly, you're gonna have a bad time. Me, personally, I am 100% here for silliness as long as it's done right. And for me, this is done perfectly right. Like, if this was a steak, it'd be medium rare, because that's how I like it, man. Or to fit this metaphor, it would be well done. But I guess I don't like well-done steak, and most people who love steak don't love, this metaphor isn't working. Our characters are not exactly brilliantly written, but they are memorable and fun to hang out with and to, well, watch die.
That does not count as a kill.
Yes, it does.
Our heroine, Rowan, is probably the least memorable of the bunch, but she's a nice, strong woman who helps to give the 411 on Jason and provide an audience surrogate. KM and her creator, Sunaran, are a load of fun, and Sunafun. And Peter Mensah as Sergeant Brodsky provides us with any number of hysterically badass moments.
You gotta be kidding me. Brodsky.
Where did he come from? Fuck it. The kills here are also great, be it for more simple stuff like this gnarly neck snap, or the second best death of the whole franchise. You know the one.
I swear I've seen a lot of stuff in my life, but that was awesome.
There's also lots of off-kilter details that satisfy the weirdness quotient without ever feeling too random. The kinky sex, the falling nipple, all the holodeck stuff, the whole Uber Jason versus basically female Terminator bit. Like, it's a lot of very strange decisions, and that works really well for me. I think because this movie just kind of gives in to the weirdness while also making sure to keep that weirdness directly tied to the central concept and not let it revel in the Friday the 13th concept, revel in the archetypes kind of set up by the franchise. Like, it gets what works. You know, you can tell that this was written by someone who actually loves the franchise, unlike certain other filmmakers. It's also probably the most camp entry in the franchise, and obviously the most ridiculous.
It's gonna take more than a poke in the ribs to put down this old dog. Yeah, that ought to do it.
Take whatever option you want for the unique qualities of the film. It's in space. Whatever. It is unique on so many levels. It is very different from anything that came before it. It definitely leans more into comedy than, say, Part 6, and I think that is maybe a weakness as far as like the overall quality, and it certainly makes it more of a hit or miss for people. You know, you have a lot of people that really hate this movie, a lot of people that love it, and I think that's because it leans so hard into that tongue-in-cheek aesthetic. Either which way, if there's one really great, or at least good, film in the franchise that separates itself from the pack, it's Jason X. And yeah, it's Jason in space and it's fucking rad. That's all I got for you.
Landed in the lake.
Let's go check it out.
Ooh, also, I love Jason's design in this movie. Like, I enjoy, I like the initial Jason where it's like a slight variation, not too different, but just enough. You know, he's visibly aged a little bit. I think that's really smart. Kane Hodder's like eyepiece that he has is a really nice detail. And then Uber Jason, if you don't like him, is barely in the movie, really. But when he does show up, like, I love that design. It was designed by the guy who designed RoboCop. And it's, you know, dude knows designs, because that shit is mwah.
Hey, you want a beer?
Or do you want to smoke some pot?
Let's bust this sucker out. You know, as you can see, you got Jason X. There's not really a difference for the actual front, but the back is a little different. So that's fine, I guess. Whatever. I've got like Stockholm syndrome. Whatever. It's cool. So perfectly good disc. So out of the extras, first off, we get a 2K scan of the inner positive. That's dope as hell. It looks good. It's a little darker than the previous version, but I think that actually works, at least on my screen. It gives it a nice contrast that I think is pretty appealing. For the extras, we got Out of Space, The Making of Jason X. That's 33 minutes. It's great interviews with Noel and Sean Cunningham, Kane Hodder, and Todd Farmer, delving into the initial concept, development, hiccups, all that jazz. It's a pretty informative series of interviews. At 23 minutes, we have In Space, No One Can Hear You Scream. That's an interview just with Todd Farmer. 11 minutes, Christy is a Headbanger, is an interview with Christy Angus, who played Adrian. And she's charming. I wouldn't say it's a super informative interview, but it's, you know, nice enough if you like her and you want to know more about what it was like for her being in the movie, then there you go. Jason Rebooted is 15 minutes. That's an interview with Sean Cunningham. He apparently learned from Jason Goes to Hell what makes Jason work. So that's good. We also get an intro by Kane Hodder. It's pretty short, but it's cute, typical Hodder. You know, considering Adam Marcus's very, very short kind of bleh introduction for Jason Goes to Hell, this is a breath of fresh air. We get an audio commentary with Peter Bracke and Todd Farmer. That one's new, recorded over Skype or Zoom or whatever. And it's a great little ride through the film. I actually listened to the entirety of this one. At the very end, you actually get Todd Farmer's idea for the sequel in detail, so that's pretty dope. And yeah, it was just nice to listen. Todd Farmer's a very passionate guy, and you can really tell that he loves the subject matter and that he put his heart into this thing. So yeah, that's a solid commentary. You also get an archive commentary with director Jim Isaac, again, rest in peace, writer Todd Farmer, and producer Noel Cunningham, which I only listened to a chunk of, but it's pretty good. I think I actually listened to this long time ago, like when I rented it on DVD from Blockbuster a long time ago. But I don't remember all the details of that. But it seems like a perfectly good commentary. The Many Lives of Jason Voorhees is a documentary on the history of Jason. That's 30 minutes, in an archive featurette. Features Joe Bob Briggs, David Duvall, Tony Timpone, Mark Borchardt. Borchardt? I always forget. I forgot how to say his name. I need to rewatch American Movie. Bit of a puff piece, but nice listen for the most part. By Any Means Necessary, The Making of Jason X is a making of documentary of the movie. That one's from back when it was released, and so you can imagine it's very dated, but gives you a bunch of behind-the-scenes peeks. And then and that's 17 minutes long. You get other old extras ported over, including vintage interviews, behind-the-scenes footage, press kit, trailers, galleries, the whole shebang. You know, if it was on the previous Blu-ray, it's on here. And with those additional features, it is a pretty solid release for this movie. I wouldn't say that it's like mind-blowing by any means. It is, you know, it's a film that had a lot of digital stuff happening with it back in the early 2000s, so that's going to be a little iffy. A lot of the CGI is not amazing, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad. Considering this started production in 1999, the CGI looks pretty good. And there's a lot of practical sets, a lot of practical effects. I think almost it was a perfect time for this movie because it was before we really got too deep into the CGI, like the bad CGI world of the early 2000s. You still had to do stuff physically to make sure you weren't spending too much money, and that's pretty great. And then, yeah, I mean, it's a solid presentation of this ridiculous film, and I love that, and I will be revisiting this disc quite a bit. And, yeah. Blast off! I feel like garbage. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Sorry this is just a pretty quick review. I did have an idea for a video essay about this movie before I came up with this 13 Days project. I was going to do a video essay on Jason X and my love for it, so I'll probably still do that. It probably will not be this month. I'm going to go pretty easy on myself the rest of the month once I'm done with this project. Just because it's been a lot, but definitely look forward to a much longer dissertation on Jason X in the future. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Check me out on the Patreon, the Twitters, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, and all that jazz. Check out my merch down below. I've got some merch for you. And yeah, watch my movies on Amazon Prime. And until next time, maybe watch those, maybe watch something else, but either which way, go watch a movie.